Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. Thank you for joining me. So we are here with You Are the Asset, which is the newsletter I have on LinkedIn. And today's live is about the digital age that changed everything, but most people haven't caught up. Okay, so that's what the newsletter was about. That actually went out yesterday. We haven't had any questions because I had a little tech issue that I just realized that I actually didn't put it in the newsletter. I didn't put the article in the newsletter. It's actually a standalone article, so it didn't actually go out to everyone. I was trying to figure out because I couldn't find it, and I was like, where did I put it? I mean, it's in my feed, but why isn't it in my newsletter? And I realized that there's two different things. So lesson learnt, and I'm going to try and get it into the newsletter so that it is in there, and it does actually go out to everyone. The other thing is usually I also put it out to my email list, and I also didn't do that because we have the Christmas Dollar Sprint that is actually launching today. The doors are open today for the Christmas Dollar Sprint for those people who work essentially in a 9-to-5 or work in the visual effects industry as I do, and you want to create other streams of income. So between now and Christmas, like a lot of people are like winding down, and then January comes and you have all your goals, and then by February everything's over. But what I like to do is in November, that's really the time when I just kind of say, okay, I've got this last sprint for the year. What am I going to do? So I want to invite you guys to the Christmas Dollar Sprint. If that's something that you want to do, is just start making your first, dollar at least. It'll be more than $1, but making your first income now before Christmas, right? So it can be your Christmas present to you, right? And then January will come around, and everyone's going to have goals, and you're going to be relaxing because when you're starting an income, the biggest part of it is the initial lift off, right? The launch pad, like a lot of energy goes into that, and then there's you can kind of not coast. I wouldn't say coast, but you can kind of take things a little easier. But the problem is a lot of times what people do is that launch pad, people spread that out, and then they lose momentum, and it never really takes off, right? So we want to just have it's an 8-week sprint, right? And getting your first income, and it's actually going to be free. This first week you do have a 7-day trial, so you can come in and have the first week for free. Our first live call is on Tuesday. There is some prep work to do, so if you get in early, you can do the prep work, meet everyone else in the community, ask any questions that you have. And the thing is, on Tuesday, it's going to be very much workshop based. Okay, it's very much workshop based. So we're going to, and it's also limited in spaces because I want to give a very personalized attention to you guys, and get you to a place where you've got a solid plan. Now, once you've got that solid plan in the free week, you can choose then to stay with us for the 8-week sprint, or you can choose to go it alone. Okay, either way, you're going to have a solid plan in that workshop, and any questions that you have, you can ask in the workshop, but you're also going to be in the community for the free week, and you can continue asking any questions that you have as things come up, because sometimes when you're in the workshop, you don't think of it at the time. But anyway, I've gone on to something else. My point was that because I was putting emails out about that, I didn't put emails out about the newsletter. So it didn't go out on LinkedIn side, it didn't go out on my side. So we don't have any questions, but I will cover the topic as it is, which is, as I say, the digital age that changed everything. But most people haven't caught up. So this is a concept that I heard from Daniel Priestley a while ago. And he was talking about the difference between the industrial age and the digital age, and the fact that we're now entering the age of AI, right? And how the school system and everything was set up for the industrial age. And when the digital age came along, the school system didn't change. And so there's a lot of, I guess, friction that's really catching up with people now as to what they're taught in school, because it's not just about being taught computers. One of the biggest things is that when we talk about, jobs, and, that's the whole Rockefeller system of having a career, and that used to be stable, right? It's like, okay, you go to school, you learn, so you can get a piece of paper that tells you can do something, and then someone takes you on and pays you for the rest of your life to do that thing. It sounds really bleak the way I say it. I think got some my own beliefs going into that in the way I say that. But the thing is, it's just not the way it is now. And even for businesses, the thing is, like, when I say businesses, but let's just say it as, like, making income. Okay. Sometimes I think, saying like setting up a business just sounds a bit too big, right? Sometimes when I say that to people, they're like, oh, like, where do I have to register my company? It's like, whoa. Like, what are we even doing first, right? What's the idea? Like, who are we serving? Can we even do it? Right? They jump ahead to like setting up a company. So let's just say starting an income stream, right? Let's call it that. And the way people used to do it was they'd have to have big budgets, right? You would go onto TV ads, billboards, magazines, radio, things like that, and you'd have to like pay a lot of money to be like featured. Or you can go on the newspaper. Even that was like, putting an ad in the newspaper. That was probably the easiest access that people had to reach an audience, essentially, right? There was a lot of gatekeeping, and also your success was very much measured by your job title, right? And what you learnt at university, like the piece of paper, the certification that you got. And people are still relying on that, even though there's so much information online. This is why there's so many entrepreneurs and so many people who are so knowledgeable, but the companies don't see that, right? And there's just so many things that are valuable, but companies and businesses don't value, right? They'll put it in the job description, right? That they want you to be a great communicator, for example, have confidence, be proactive. All those things are so important. Okay, it's going to be so much more important now that AI is here, right? So those are the things that make you and make, bring your creativity and all these things. But, people, are still looking at, like, where's your certification that tells me that you can do the job, right? Do the tasks, rather than thinking about their initiative. So, we've got all this gatekeeping. That was the industrial age. It's gone now, right? We now have the internet. We've had the internet for over 25 years, I guess. So over 25 years. I don't know exactly when it started, but the ability to reach an audience, to have something and reach an audience has, it's just so much easier. You don't have to pay loads of money. But the problem is, like, what's happening is that people have seen, influencers, and they see it as, like, just influencers showing off, and it kind of puts a lot of people off from putting themselves online. And that's not really, there's a lot of it's a very, what am I trying to say? It's a very powerful platform for a business, right? To be able to reach people. And it's just about how you use social media, how you use the internet to put your ideas out there. Because you don't now need big budgets to reach people, you don't need anyone's approval. You don't need a spot on the radio or the TV, right? You can actually reach people. And of course, like, even if you did want to do ads on social media, even that barrier is it's a lot more accessible than the big budgets that you used to, like, need, right? And it's very much about messaging now, rather than like having the fancy camera, the fancy lights, all that kind of stuff. It's about really just talking to your audience, having that connection, okay? Because what the digital age also did was separate people. COVID came along and separated people. AI is coming along and it's separating people, right? So one of the highest commodities that is now around and is going to grow is connection. Okay, so what does all this mean for you? Okay, and the thing is, if you're still thinking that your job title or job role is the value that you have, you're really missing the biggest shift that's coming around right now. It's happening right now, so not late or anything, but especially with AI, right? The digital age has come and no one's really shifted, but I really think that now that AI is here, people are really going to shift. And when I say shift, I mean AI is going to take the tasks, and the actual skills of human beings is going to be more relevant, right? So, your skills, your perspective, your uniqueness, your creativity, your experiences, right? Your stories, the way you connect with people, your communication, your confidence, the way you manage your time, right? All those things are going to be really, really important now. Okay, whether you're in the job market or whether you're in your own business, either way, right? Those things are going to be super relevant. And all these things as well, when I talk about your uniqueness, there's so much in there that people don't realize that they can essentially, it's value, right? And when I talk about creating income, I'm talking about giving value to the world, because that is what money is. Money is an exchange of value, right? So when you can recognize what other people want, right, what their problem is, and you can offer a solution, right? Because all businesses are just there to provide a solution to a problem. And when you can recognize what you have and who you are as a solution, right, then you can be paid for it, right? So, yes, we are out of the industrial age. We are in the digital age. And, schools are still teaching this mentality of, go get a job. And, not everyone is going to be entrepreneurs, right? This was definitely, I think the digital age definitely brought about the rise of the entrepreneur. But I also think that the mentality of being an entrepreneur, even having that within a job, is going to be the way forward, right? Having that ownership and, all those kind of like, soft skills we talk about, because the hard skills are going to be taken over by AI. But it's the soft skills, the way you imagine. And I say that kind of stuff because I work in visual effects. But it's the way you imagine, the way you creatively solve problems. Okay. And by the way, that happens obviously in visual effects, but also when you're creating income streams as well. It's actually a very creative problem solving process every single day. Okay, so I'm just gonna check out. We are actually, by the way, live on LinkedIn, of course. That is my main platform. And we are live on Facebook, I believe, Instagram, and YouTube. Yes, we are. Okay. But that's pretty much everything. If anyone has any questions, I'll just check the comments. Please do ask any questions that you have. This is a Q&A, but like I say, I actually put the newsletter, I put the article not in the newsletter, so it didn't actually go out to everyone. I also didn't email it out to my list because I was telling them about the Christmas dollar sprint, that the doors are open today. So that's also going on. So I don't have any questions to answer. But let me just check over here. And I don't think we're live on Facebook. Facebook is always a bit of a funny one for me because, yeah, sometimes it goes on there, sometimes it doesn't. I thought I cracked it, but obviously not. Okay. So if you do want to have a read of the article, it is over on LinkedIn. I am going to try to transfer it over somehow to the newsletter, which is You Are the Asset. And this is all about knowing your value that you currently have, but also realizing your full potential as well. Right? And this is the journey that I'm on and I have been on, and I will continue to be on, and hopefully, bring other people with me on that kind of journey. Just understanding that you are the asset, and especially your uniqueness. I think a lot of people don't realize that they have something special. I was definitely like that, right? That was definitely me. I didn't think, I wasn't very good at anything. I worked in visual effects and it was cool, but like even that, I was pretty average. I just think that there was nothing, unique about me. But but I think it takes a while sometimes to figure out, and sometimes it helps to have someone to kind of figure that out with as well. But that's actually what the Christmas Dollar Sprint is about, is, that first session is, it's going to be for people who don't have an idea about how they can add value, what they can offer people to serve people with. And we're going to be actually workshopping that out and going through, a bunch of questions to really pull that out. Okay. And that's what, like I say, that's what the first session is. And I'm going to be mapping out the rest of the sprint. So you can choose to stay. So the first session is completely free. The first week is completely free. So you can come into the community, meet everyone, come to the first session. It is recorded as well if you can't come live. You can ask all your questions, and and then you've got your plan, right? You've got your plan, and then you can choose to stay and do it with everyone else, or you can do it alone. That's completely up to you. But the point is that a lot of people are winding down this time of year, and especially people who are like looking for jobs and everything, and probably sick of just all the rejection and the ghosting. And it's like, well, let's just take a break, but not a break from the work, but a break from rejection, right? A break from that kind of cycle, and actually start working on something, because we have these open to work banners. Okay, so I'm like, okay, cool, if you're open to work, let's work, right? But actually start getting different results from that work. So yeah, building the confidence that you can actually create income that you own. And what we're going to be doing is actually learning about the principles of creating income, right? Because this isn't a trend or a gimmick that is like, this one thing works. Because a lot of times people ask me, like, well, what income stream should I do? What passive income should I do? And it's not, we can do anything, right? But the principles are always the same. So we're going to be actually learning the principles in that first session as well. So you know what your options are and how to actually execute on it, and then really brainstorming what your idea is. Okay, so we're going to be going through a few different frameworks on that first session, but it's going to be a good one. So if that's interesting to you and that's something that you want to do, maybe you've tried to start an income stream before, and you kind of been dabbling, maybe, and maybe not really got something that's taken off and has been recurring and reliable, that you can kind of say, okay, cool, I've got that there, that's coming in. And whilst I work on, in the visual effects world, that's where I work, by the way, I work in visual effects, but the contracts are unstable, and it comes and goes. So, but I don't need to worry when it goes, right? I don't need to, be like, okay, where do I need to get my next job from? The hustle associated with that, and the feast and famine. You build income streams that are repeatable, reliable, and are coming in. After you've built them, they continue serving you, right? When you're in a job, you stop the job, they stop paying you. What? I'm just kidding. But this is what I mean by passive recurring income. It's not that it's money while you sleep. It can get to that stage, if that's what you want. But what I really teach is fun, freedom, and fulfillment, essentially, right? And I do that in the framework of building income streams. You can do that in any area of your life, and I have done that with every area of my life. That when I set goals, it always has to have fun, freedom, and fulfillment. Okay, and they're the three concepts I'm going to be going a lot deeper into in the workshop, and explaining how that all works and how to actually choose ideas that are going to actually work for you. And then we're going to launch. We're going to do that 80% to get out into the stratosphere, so then we can like cruise and orbit in a calm manner once it's all set up. Because the thing is, a lot of the time people think like, I'm going to do this thing, but I'm going to take it slowly. The problem with taking it slowly is that you don't get the momentum. When you don't get the momentum, you don't really get off the ground, right? So we're just doing an 8-week sprint, and just to get launched, basically. Okay. So I very much believe in sprints rather than taking the long game, and that's just very much because when I do believe in the long game as well, because I make long-term decision making and make long-term decision making. Yeah, I think I said that wrong, but when I'm making decisions, I'm thinking long-term. Okay, but that doesn't mean that to get my first dollar, I'm going to wait a year and just build it very slowly, right? To get your first dollar, you can do an 8-week sprint. I do 2-week sprints, right? But together we're going to do 8 weeks because it's your first time, right? And you can definitely make that happen. And you're going to, like I say, you're going to learn the principles so that you can kind of do this and it's repeatable for you. Okay. All right. I don't see any questions coming, so I am going to make sure that I post this into the newsletter. I'll figure that out. I'll figure it out. And I will otherwise see you next week. So every Friday, an article gets posted in the You Are the Asset newsletter. And then on Saturdays, I go live. I might start making this a little bit earlier. I go live at 10:30 a.m. my time, which is 1 hour ahead of Eastern. But I might make it a little bit earlier just because when I come back from my run and everything, and then I've got this kind of like space. So I'm actually going to make it a little bit earlier. And if you can join me live, I would love to have you here. If not, definitely catch the replay. And any questions that you have, even if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to drop them in, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I do see them and I will answer them. Okay. And if I answer them in a live, I will tag you somehow. If it's on Instagram, I'm very not familiar with Instagram, but I will find a way. I can do it. I can. Okay. So great to talk to you about the digital age that changed everything. And most people haven't caught up. So let's start not only catching up, but getting ahead of the age of AI. Okay. And I believe that the biggest commodity is actually going to be connection coming up. So double down on that, double down on you and your uniqueness, because you are the asset. And I'll catch you next week. Bye for now.